Today, I want to welcome a four-time author, including Teach Us to Want, Christianity Today's Book of the Year in 2015, personally one of my favorites. Jen Pollock Michel is here with us now to discuss her latest book, A Habit Called Faith. Welcome, Jen. Glad to see you.
Hi. Thank you, Lorie. So great to see you.
Well, you know I'm a fan, and I've read everything you've written, but this recent book, A Habit Called Faith, it's incredible. It's a 40-day journey in the Bible, as you say, to find and follow Jesus. So tell me, why did you write it, and who is it for?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, this comes out of my own Christian experience. I came to Christ at 16, and somebody told me if you want to grow in your faith, you're going to need good habits. And so I feel like that's just been a message that I've carried with me for the last 30 years. But I wrote it. I wrote it for the Christian, for people who want to grow in good spiritual habits, specifically the habit of reading Scripture regularly. But I was also thinking about the spiritually curious person, somebody who doesn't maybe have a lot of familiarity with the Bible, but maybe sort of wonders, could faith be for me? And so I was thinking of that person too in writing the book.
Well, I really picked that up as I'm really enjoying working through it and reading it. It's so inspiring. And you are so right. Habits can make all the difference in our life. So tell us, why are habits necessary, and how can habits increase our faith, of all things?
Well, I think about James Clear, who wrote the book Atomic Habits. Maybe people have heard of that book or heard of him or heard of his work. And he says that habit really is just this principle that you get what you repeat. So the things that you repeat in life are the things that you grow in, the things that actually value and that matter to you. And so I feel like that principle applies to the life of faith, that as we repeat certain things, certain actions, going to church and reading the Bible and fellowshipping with other Christians, it helps us grow in our faith. And of course, it means, we could practice habits and not grow, because that could all be sort of just rote repetition. But I think habit is one of those things that can carry us through difficult seasons. I mean, I've certainly known seasons of my spiritual life where I didn't necessarily feel really close to God. And habit is that kind of thing that just keeps you moving along sometimes in your spiritual life.
That's so true. I agree. I mean, I hate to say it, but the habit of the gym is what has helped me keep moving right forward. And it's so true. We need the repetitiveness in our life, and it can bring life. Well, I started reading your book, and I was drawn not only to those beautiful daily readings and your incredible fresh insights on Scripture. I just love that. But also, you've woven personal stories of people discovering their faith. Oh, I love them so much. I actually started reading the first one, and then I skipped through the book and I read them all. Okay. Why did you include these stories other than for me?
Initially, I thought maybe I would just do one. So the first story is Mark Lawrence. So that's the one that lured you in.
Yes.
I thought his story was a perfect story for somebody who actually came to faith really through the habits of faith. He started to read the Bible, and that just sort of carried him along into his own journey of finding and following Jesus. And I realized, including other stories could actually be super encouraging, because there's really not one way that we find and follow Jesus. And I think that's so important for people, especially for the spiritually curious. Sometimes they think there's going to be one way into faith. And you read all of those stories and you realize there are so many different ways. Some people come to faith through a crisis. Some people come to faith through a habit like reading the Bible. Some people come to faith through a friendship with another Christian. So they're so beautiful and so personal. And I think they illustrate the ways that God is so loving and how he pursues people in relationship with him.
Well, I think, too, to your point, it's the way Jesus lived his life. Like he said, come and follow me. And everybody came from different backgrounds, right? And they really discovered what it meant to follow him, all in different ways. Is this book somewhat inspired by some conversations you've had with your neighbors? Did I hear that somewhere? I've been following you on podcasts, and, it seems to me it was inspired by some of these conversations. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely thinking about just the kind of average person that lives in Toronto. That's where I live. And I think for so many people, they feel like faith is something so foreign.
Right.
So, kind of like, how would that even work? You know, they feel like, yeah, don't we believe in science today? Why do I need faith? And so, I actually had a lot of very specific conversations with people just like that to ask them, tell me, a little bit about how you would receive the invitation to read the Bible? What would you be nervous about? What would you be curious to learn? What could make you a little bit excited about that? And I think just in those conversations with people, it helped to sort of shape the writing of the book as I was thinking about those fears, those hesitations, those curiosities.
Well, the stories really capture that, Jen. And I think it's as you say, a book for believers that want to grow in their faith, but for the curious. What's the most important thing that you want readers to come away with after reading your book?
One of the things I thought that was so engaging was to see how Deuteronomy and John together emphasize that the story of faith, the invitation of faith, is one of life. That actually, when you find and follow Jesus, you find your life. You can't find it anywhere else. You can't find it in your career aspirations, in your happy family. You find it in Jesus. And I think that's one real kind of primary thing I want people to come away with.
Well, I am certainly coming away with that. I love how you not only take us on a journey through scripture in these 40 days, and also with people's stories. I thank you for writing this. If you want this book and more to know more about Jen, go to 700club.ca. All the info's there. You can find her. You can find her book really wherever books are sold. But thank you, Jen, for taking time, and thank you for what you've written. I know it's going to grow a lot of people in faith.
Thank you so much, Lorie.